some shippers aren't ready to board the CSX Corporation service recovery bandwagon. Agricultural giant Cargill Inc. told federal regulators it has had to shutter factories as recently as this week because of rail problems in chemical company Chemours Co. says CSX breakdowns have cost the company more than $1 million. Their outlook clashed with CSX Chief Executive Hunter Harrison's contention at the Surface Transportation Board that service problems that peaked over the summer have been solved. The WSJ's Paul Ziobro writes, keeping clouds over Mr. Harrison's bid to remake the freight carrier under Mr. Harrison's precision railroading vision. CSX wants clear track to shut rail yards, trim operations and redirect trains, but the shippers want the regulators to clamp down and require CSX to notify them when it changes schedules and routes. Mr. Harrison insists trains are running faster and complaints from customers are dwindling, but the ongoing clamor suggests regulators will keep a close watch on the railroad. A scandal at one of Japan's biggest aluminum manufacturers is rippling through automotive supply chains. Companies including Toyota Motor Corporation and Nissan Motor Company are trying to identify vehicles containing aluminum supplied by Kobe Steel Limited, the WSJ's Sean McLean reports, after the company admitted it had doctored paperwork on product quality. The carmakers believe the issue is restricted to plants in Japan, but Kobe Steel also supplied components to Boeing Company and General Motors Company says it's checking on the potential impact on parts in its cars. They're coping with a problem that can spread across industrial operations when one company becomes a top supplier to global manufacturers, forcing the buyers to track supplies across far-flung factories. Kobe Steel has some 200 customers worldwide for the forged aluminum pieces that are at the center of the scandal and are used in vehicle suspension systems. Delta Airlines believes it can fly above a budding US-Canada trade battle. The passenger airline hopes to start taking delivery of planes next spring from Bombardier Incorporated, the WSJ's Doug Cameron reports, but doesn't expect to pay the hefty tariffs that U.S. trade officials are proposing on the new Canadian jetliners. The trade dispute has escalated since the U.S. upheld a Boeing Company complaint that Bombardier is building its regional jets with unfair government subsidies, and it's now embroiled the UK, home to a big Bombardier plant. The case also highlights the complications and conflicts in trading relationships when they involve foreign suppliers and domestic operators. Delta Chief Executive Ed Bastian says Boeing's case is weak and that the airline doesn't expect to pay tariffs that could reach 300% of the purchase price of X-series planes, although deliveries could be delayed as the airline works through the issues with Bombardier. Economy and trade. Photo, Bloomberg News. Talks to remake the North American Free Trade Agreement are resuming under growing concern from business groups. The Trump administration is honing a strategy to water down the pact and reduce its influence on companies, the WSJ's Jacob M. Schlesinger reports, even as the head of the largest U.S. business group is setting off alarm bells over plans he says would diminish cross-border trade. Thomas Donahue, president of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, issued the warning from Mexico City as he sought to tighten cooperation with Mexican government and business leaders. The U.S. stance calling for provisions such as a sunset clause on the trade deal that would raise uncertainty for businesses over whether the trade pact will even last. The administration is trying to change economic calculations for companies as they consider where to place manufacturing and investment and potentially shift today's cross-border supply chains into the U.S.